Araneta City is one of the pioneering and busiest commercial districts in the Philippines. As the city of firsts, countless historic events and memorable experiences have taken place within this bustling community in Quezon City. Yet many people are unaware of the man behind its development. J. Amado Araneta, the man who always wanted to offer the best to the greatest number. Today, this timeless vision continues to animate the Araneta Group of Companies' progress and development, building on Don Amado's indelible legacy of introducing first-of-its-kind developments to the country and having the Filipino people experience them in their own way. At the same time, his dream of bringing the good life to people continues on through the foundation that bears his name, the J. Amado Araneta Foundation, which offers opportunities for excellence in education, enterprise management, sports, culture and the arts, and spiritual development. There's actually more to the name Araneta than just a place. So the next time you visit Araneta City, now you know how it came to be.
Magandang hapon, makasaysayan at makabayang hapon din sa ating lahat na nanonood ngayon sa hashtag Kultura Serye na handog sa atin ng Gateway Gallery, katuwang ang J. Amado Araneta Foundation at ng The Philippine Online Student Tambayan. Ako po si JC Santos, isa sa mga instructor ng kasaysayan mula sa Universidad ng Pilipinas at ako ang makakasama ninyo. Wala kayong choice, lagi ko itong sinasabi sa inyo. Na moderator sa ating Kultura Serye episode ngayon na pinamagatang Thoughts on Making Historical Films. Napakahalaga ng topic natin ngayon, no? Sa lahat ng mga katambay, mga kanayon, kababayan, kapamilya, kapuso, kapatid, ka-Gateway Gallery na nakasubaybang ngayon sa Kultura Serye sapagkat noong nakaraang buwan, August, celebrate natin hindi lang buwan ng mga wika, kundi buwan ng kasaysayan. Tapos ngayon, sineselebrate natin yung Philippine Film Industry Month. September, no? September ay Philippine Film Industry Month. Tapos, ngayon din dumadagsa ang iba't ibang mga pelikulang makasaysayan umano o makasaysayan ng tunay. Kaya pag-aralan natin, no, at talakayin natin ang mga paksang ito. Napakahalaga muli na pag-uusapan natin ngayon na pinamagatang Thoughts on Making Historical Film dahil kasama natin ang isa sa mga favorite kong direktor. Napanood niyo ba yung Faculty? Sige nga, pwede niyo bang i-type sa comment section? Eh, nakikita ko kayo. Tayo ngayon ay nagsasama-sama. 11,585.75 people ang nanonood sa Facebook. Don't forget to like and share ang ating live ngayon sa Gateway Gallery. Napanood ba yung Faculty? Hintayin ko nga yung comment ninyo. Favorite ko yun, no? Yun ang aking yun ang aking baptism of fire. Kung bakit pagka-graduate ko, gustong-gusto ko magturo dahil sa short film na Faculty. Sunundan ito, alam ko magkasunod sila ng senior high. At kaya ko ito binanggit sa inyo kasi kung daw ako nagkamali, yung guest natin ngayon, siya ang director nito. 'Di ba? Faculty. Ayan, no? Alam ng ating mga kababayan na nanonood ngayon. Kaya maghintay lang tayo dyan nang maya-maya makakasama na natin ang ating paboritong direktor na si Sir Gerald Darrow. Pero bago yan, ilang mga announcement. Paalala na ang Gateway Gallery ay bukas every day. Yes mga kapatid, every day, Monday to Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. At ito ay matatagpuan sa 5th floor ng Gateway Mall. Pero JC, hindi ako makapunta kasi malayo ako. Fret no more dahil pwede nyo i-download ang Gateway Gallery Pocket Museum. Kita ba? Kita ba? Where history comes alive through augmented reality dahil ang lahat ng permanent exhibit natin in partnership with UP College of Fine Arts. Kung ako nagkakamali. Tama ako, yes. Ay narito sa Sining Saysay, no? Dahil ito ang ating Philippine History and Art. History comes alive through augmented reality. Ang kailangan nyo lamang gawin kapag bibisita kayo sa Gateway Gallery, scan ninyo mga painting na makikita sa loob at meron itong kalakip na video. Ikikwento sa inyo ang kasaysayan natin in a very interactive way. At kung kayo ay nasa loob ng bahay, ito ay endorsed ng Department of Education, pwede ninyong hanapin ang mga exhibit ng Sining Saysay at narito natin pag-aaralan ang kultura, nasyonalismo at identidad ng mga Filipino. Okay? Don't forget to visit Gateway Gallery, open daily, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., 5th floor of Gateway Mall, and download our Gateway Gallery Pocket Museum. On October 7 to 9, magkakaroon tayo ng Gateway Art Fair sa Gateway Activity Center. Huwag ninyong kalimutan ang extinction exhibit sa small hall ng Gateway Gallery headed by Jaspreet Kaur. No? Doon sa Gateway Activity Center, sa October 7 to 9, 11 art groups ang mga kasama natin at more than 200 artworks ang available for sale. Meron din creative demonstrations dito between 1 to 5 p.m. Kaya naman, alam kong excited na excited kayo. Again, this is brought to you by Gateway Gallery at maraming salamat din sa J. Amado Araneta Foundation for being our partner and the Philippine Online Student Tambayan. Okay? Nasaan kayo ngayon? Don't forget to comment kung saang school kayo kabilang para batiin namin kayo. Kung saang lugar kayong lupalop ng daigdig nanonood ngayon. Yung mga kasama tayo sa Facebook, maligayang pagbati mula kay Emmanuel Mabagos ng National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Maraming salamat sa NCCA sa pagtutok sa atin sa Kultura Serye. Magandang hapon din po kina Sir John Valenzuela, Christian Ronald Austria, Ma'am Apple Castillo, Kathleen Emarwalde, at marami pang iba. Ang guest natin ngayong hapon na ito ay ang multi-awarded film director na si Sir Gerald Tarog. At i-discuss niya ang proseso ng conceptualizing ng General Luna. O, hindi lang yung mura yung dapat nating maalala. At ang Goyo. Hindi lang din yung cute na bida ang dapat nating maalala dahil dalawa lamang ito sa pinaka-pinagpipitaganan at award-winning na produksyon ni Sir Gerald, ni Direk. Pero bago natin siya ipalabas dito, no, paalala na ilabas ninyo ang inyong mga notebook, inyong mga pen dahil magkakaroon tayo ng Q&A kasama si Direk. Okay? Malinaw yon para sa lahat at narito na. Hayaan nyo na ipakilala ko ng formal sa inyo ang ating tagapagsalita. Sir Gerald Tarog, or Direk Gerald, is a Filipino filmmaker with awards and nominations in various disciplines of the filmmaking craft. His first feature film, Confessional, noong 2007, which he directed, wrote, scored, edited, and mixed, won hindi lang isa, kundi 8 awards, including Best Film at the Cinema One Original Film Festival and Best Film sa First Features category at the 10th Oceans, tama ba pronunciation ko? Cinefan in New Delhi, India. It has also garnered acclaim from international critics and audiences. Direk Gerald has worked in different genres, from horror to mockumentaries to youth films to drama, and continues to expand his range. His 2013 love story, Hindi Po Ako Iiyak, Sana Dati, or If Only, won 8 awards, including Best Film and Best Director at the Cinemalaya Independent Film Festival, and has represented the country in various international film festival and has represented us sa Busan International Film. At alam niyo ba, noong 2015, yung historical epic na General Luna, di ba napanood ko to sa MOA at napakaraming tao. Tapos standing ovation yung mga tao. Ito ang highest grossing historical film in the history of Philippine cinema. Si Sir Gerald din yan, 250 million ang nakuha nito nationwide. Sa theatrical run lang to yun lang ang computation. At sumunod dito ang Goyo, ang Batang General in 2018. He has worked for other directors under different capacities, such as film composer for Jeffrey Jaturian, Adolf Alex Jr., and Cannes Best Director, Brillante Mendoza. You got it right. Nakita ko sa comment section. As editor and composer for director Chito Ronyo, and as a writer and composer for Milo Sokekos. Lagi ko nagkakamali dito. Sokekos Marikina. Si Maylin Dizon tong sa Marikina, kung daw ako nagkakamali. O paano? Hindi na tayo magpapatumpik-tumpik pa. Ibibigay na natin ang floor sa ating guest speaker ngayong hapon na ito. Walang iba, kundi si Direk Gerald Tarog. Hi Direk, magandang hapon sa iyo at maraming salamat.
Hello. Good afternoon. You can hear me naman, no?
Yes, malinaw na malinaw po. And Direk, the floor is yours.
Okay, sige. Can we activate the sharing screen? Yeah, okay. All right. So this is a talk on the making of both General Luna and Goyo, ang Batang General, particularly on how the creative process addresses historical fact and historical accuracy. So I'm basically here to sort of demystify my own art form for the public good para wala nang maloko. I'm pretty much a nerd and very fond of the intersections between science and history, especially how it relates to our psychology. So evolutionary psychology is a big thing for me, and some brain science, of course, and history, definitely. Pero hindi ako academic, so this is just a casual talk, and the next 30 to 40 minutes will just be me exploring ideas and stuff that I've learned from experience, and things that I've read. Don't expect me to cite my sources, because this is just me trying to make sense of things, and my conclusions may or may not be permanent, and they could change the more I learn about things. But you're basically going to see me nerd out over the next few minutes, no? So the first thing we must establish, and this is an obvious fact, but I feel na kailangan ma-emphasize siya ulit, no, is that historical films are not a primary source of historical fact. I mean, alam naman ng karamihan yan, pero I think we must emphasize that. They can definitely be used as educational tools for various reasons, but they are not a reliable historical record. Kasi, well, they're pretty much the last place you should turn to when looking for historical fact. Um, what historical films are, they are an interpretation of historical data that's filtered through the personal biases, the worldview, and the ideology of the storyteller. And it's also filtered to a lot of other things like yung limitations na siniset ng producer, yung logistical and monetary limitations, and yung zeitgeist tsaka other cultural factors when the work was created. So ang daming bagay na nakaka-affect ng pag-interpret ng historical data when you try to make stories. Um, you may argue that books and other media are also susceptible to these factors, pero mas poros yung film, kumbaga. And the reason for that is because films don't have the standards that one applies to actual scientific or academic research. I can be as detailed as I want. I can read all the books that I want and consult with the people that I want. Pero we storytellers, we are not subject to peer review and other rigorous standards of research. And the main reason for that is that most films are made to entertain and draw emotions from the audience. Lalo na yung mga pelikula na um, part yung profit motive sa DNA nung paggawa niya, they are definitely made to entertain. Um, and when a story is able to draw emotions from you, halimbawa naaawa ka dun sa character, natutuwa ka or nagagalit ka or kinakabahan ka dun sa kwento, you connect to the material. And when you connect to the material, the story starts to have a semblance of truth. But it is not objective reality. You are only reacting to the world that exists inside the movie and its connections to your own personal experience. No? But hindi blank slates ang mga tao. Pagpasok mo sa sinehan, meron kang sariling set of beliefs and emotional leanings which are influenced by your own experiences, your environment, and sometimes your genes. There's actually ongoing research about the possibility of your genes affecting your political views. Hindi pa conclusive yung results about that. Pero personality definitely is affected by genes. Pero yung politics hindi pa sure yun. Um, but basically, if you and the filmmaker have the same biases, then it's easier to connect to the film. If you are a liberal and you come into the theater with a film that has liberal leanings, then it will probably sound truer to you. If you come into the theater supporting the oligarchy and the elites, then you will believe a film that celebrates the ruling class, definitely. No? But basically, if you agree with the film, you will look for more rationalizations to support your positions. And if you disagree with the film, you will either double down or close yourself off on the film's arguments. And it will take tremendous evidence after a long bout with cognitive dissonance for your convictions to be overturned. No? Um, Ayun, and this has nothing to do with being smart or being dumb. Even the smartest people are prone to cognitive biases. Even the most educated people can make clever arguments for kind of stupid beliefs. But it is part of being human, especially in this day and age. No? An educated person may have more tools to fight cognitive biases, but no one is immune kasi tao lang tayo lahat. No? So let's talk about the word. Ayan, so ito yung stronger emotions, greater connection, and mas may semblance of truth. Now let's clear up one thing, the word bias. It is something that everyone has. It's a person being for or against something in a manner that is unfair. Madalas iba to yung word na bias sa social media, but pretty much no one isn't biased, especially when it comes to telling stories and consuming stories. But there's also this other thing called cognitive bias na nabanggit ko kanina. And this one is even messier. It's a flaw in one's thinking that allows one to misinterpret data or make irrational decisions. But I don't think it's really a flaw. I think it's a feature of the human animal. I mean, make no mistake, we are still animals. No? And in fact, I think the only way we've been able to progress through civilization is by overcoming our default cognitive biases. Okay? And maraming types ng cognitive biases, and I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just showing this codex here. I'm going to give you one example though, confirmation bias, which is one of my favorites. And my favorite example of that is, imagine yourself na parang um, kunwari, hindi ka makapag-decide kung gagawin mo ba yung isang bagay o hindi. So, sobrang conflicted ka kung gusto mo ba siyang gawin o hindi. Tapos, nagdasal ka sa universe na sabi mo, universe, please give me a sign kung gagawin ko ba itong bagay na to o hindi. Tapos, paglabas mo ng bahay, sakto, merong billboard ng Nike dun sa tapat ng bahay. And sabi dun sa billboard, just do it. Tapos bigla kang bigla kang kinilabutan, goosebumps, parang oh my god, thank you universe, may sign na just do it. Yan. But the truth is that billboard has totally nothing to do with your life. It's been there for months. And naging significant lang siya on that day kasi ikaw yung naghahanap ng confirmation for your bias. So that's kind of the thing. It's a flaw in our thinking. No? That's confirmation bias. And another one is called the Barnum effect. I'm not going to get into that here, but if you want to know how astrology works, don't look up astrological charts. Just read up on the Barnum effect because it's hilarious. No? Basta yan, it's a fascinating area of study, and I bring them up because our cognitive processes, yung brain processes natin, are heavily affected by emotions. And the manipulation of emotions is the main business of cinema, of movies. Okay, you can find papers online regarding this and the cognitive biases that are put into play by storytellers and audiences. But to summarize, basically, most films, especially those that have profit as part of their objectives, they use storytelling tools to keep the audiences glued to their seats. And the more effective the film is in using its tools, the stronger your emotions. Pag malakas yung emotions mo, mas malakas yung connection mo dun sa material. And if you have a strong connection to the material, in many cases, but not all, you will tend to think that the story reflects real life situations. But what's happening is you are connecting to the world created in the film while it activates different neurotransmitters and releases chemicals in your brain. But it's not really a full representation of reality. Okay? Sabi ko sa inyo, nerd ako eh. So yun, having said all of that, pag-usapan natin yung historical trilogy. Okay? All of this basically began when I read up on Antonio Luna's life, and I thought it would be fascinating to film a character who's very different from the historical figures that we've traditionally put on screen. Kasi usually yung mga historical figures natin, yung mga heroes natin are very immaculate, para silang santo, wala silang magawang mali. Ayun, sobrang nasa pedestal sila. But Antonio Luna, when I was reading up on him, he was like, if you combine General Patton and Toshiro Mifune from Yojimbo, na it's kind of a funny combination for me. Now, there's criticism that General Luna romanticizes strongman, but it is really more like a fish out of water story in the context of Filipino culture. Remember, cognitive biases, you see what you want to see depending on your agenda. Then, when we were doing General Luna, I thought it would be certainly fun to extend the universe, since this was the time back then when Marvel was still interesting and cool, and that was a long time ago. I thought it would be interesting to create a cinematic universe centered on actual history with protagonists who are fallible and probably problematic. So, dun ngayon lumabas si Goyo and also si Manuel Quezon. Si Quezon dapat yung third part ng trilogy. The thing is, whether Quezon will be made when and how, it's still a question that has no answer currently, unfortunately. Okay. Most of this, yung historical trilogy, was inspired by Nick Joaquin's A Question of Heroes. Then sa librong yun, popular historical figures like Antonio Luna and Gregorio del Pilar were demystified, their legacies were questioned, and their contributions to the historical narrative were dissected. Para sa mga traditionalists, medyo sacrilege to yung ginawa ni Nick Joaquin. But given the cultural developments in the West, yung pag-deconstruct at pag-demystify ng local heroes, it's actually inevitable. No? one can definitely argue that the deconstruction of heroes has negative effects on society. There could be some truth to that, but if it is true, I cannot imagine a way to reverse that trend. Kasi we can build up new heroes, we can restore old ones, we can change historical villains to heroes or change heroes to villains. But there is no denying that we now live in a world where nothing is sacred, pretty much. If you want to blame the West, the Enlightenment, liberalism, or postmodernism for this, go ahead. But it is how it is. So yun na talaga yung mundo natin ngayon. Another purpose of the historical trilogy is to illustrate how much and how little we have changed. Hindi ito pessimistic na worldview. It may be skeptical, but it is certainly not hopeless. And the reason I think this way, na it's possible that we have changed so little, is that we overestimate our intelligence as a species. Yes, the brain is very malleable. If you look up the term neuroplasticity, there's a lot of literature behind that, kung gaano ka malleable yung utak natin. But the brain also has certain limitations set by our evolutionary development. So there's also studies from twins and split brain patients and mga personality changes pag may switch na off sa brain mo, nagbabago yung personality mo. We are very much susceptible to all of those kasi we are still primates. We are descended from apes, and we have certain programming that it's very hard for us to avoid. But I'm not sure if history is cyclical. Posibleng sinasuggest yun ng mga pelikula ng General Luna at Goyo, pero I just think that we have patterns of primate behavior that affect our course throughout history, in the same way that our colonizers had their own patterns of primate behavior that led to colonization. And the trilogy is supposed to illustrate the similarities of Pinoy society between then and now. It is supposed to raise questions like, may pag-asa bang magbago? Would we have won true freedom if there had not been infighting between our ranks? Lalo na sa General Luna, ang daming ganun. Or was the infighting inevitable kasi yung sense of nationhood natin, it came in very late, na colonize na tayo ng Spain, na watak-watak na tayo in the first place. And then, nung nag-start na tayong magkaroon ng idea ng nationhood, it was largely the intellectual elites who were championing this. Sila yung mga nakapag-aral sa Europe, etc. It was mostly the intellectual elites who were championing this idea of nationhood. The problem is, they didn't have enough power to fight both Spain and then pumasok naman yung Amerika. No? So, ayun. So, and then the question is, was the revolution doomed to fail? Because even though we were fighting to be a nation, we were still inherently different tribes scattered throughout the archipelago. So yun, yung mga parang pinaka-main questions na tinatry i-trace nung trilogy, assuming ma-complete yung third film. Now, for General Luna, dalawa yung pinaka-main na libro. Nabanggit ko na yung isa, A Question of Heroes by Nick Joaquin. But the main details came from The Rise and Fall of Antonio Luna by Vivencio Jose. Pero hindi ako yung nagpasimula niyan. Na yung script for General Luna was already existing in the early 90s. Sinulat siya ni Ed Rocha at ni Henry Francia. And then pumasok lang ako around 2011 or 12. I decided to write, nabasa ko yung buhay ni Antonio Luna, and I decided to write a script about him. Pero sinabi sa akin na meron ng script na nag-i-exist. So, meet ko si Ed Rocha, and binasa ko yung script, and I asked permission to rewrite it so I can update things and add humor and change the tone a bit. So, nagustuhan niya, and then afterwards, I pretty much forgot about the project because I didn't think we would ever find financing for it. No? And then one day, Fernando Ortigas came on board, and then bigla na lang by 2014, even though I had no idea how I would make a historical movie, we went and did it anyway, and then surprise, it became a cultural phenomenon. Ayun. Yung opening disclaimer ng General Luna, babasahin ko lang saglit. Okay. This film, sorry. Okay, going back. Okay. This film is a work of fiction based on facts. Liberties have been taken with the depiction of historical figures and the order of events. While historical accuracy is important, there are bigger truths about the Filipino nation that can only be reached by combining the real and the imaginary. Again, all historical films are historical fiction based on facts. Some people want to stick closer to the facts, other filmmakers prefer to go a little farther, whether for entertainment or artistic purposes or for propaganda. And note, propaganda happens on all sides, whether it's liberal, conservative, leftist, or propaganda in service of the elites, etc. It happens everywhere. Okay. Marami examples in the history of cinema where historical fact is twisted in the service of the filmmaker's agenda. Ang pinakamasaya dito, although technically hindi siya historical film, yung trabaho ni Quentin Tarantino, lalo na sa Inglourious Bastards, kung saan namatay si Hitler from machine gun fire while the Nazis were burning in a theater. And yung favorite ko is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, kung saan yung mga followers ni Charles Manson, instead of historically going into Sharon Tate's house to murder her, pumunta sila sa bahay ng character ni Brad Pitt at napatay sila ni Brad Pitt at nung aso niya, which was hilarious. Okay. You can call that historical revisionism, but in a medium that is fictional by default, I think that's already a given. Problems only arise when a film claims to present historical truth. Okay. Henry Luna and Goyo do not make those claims about historical truth, only that they are works of fiction based on facts. And it is because it is trying to suggest truths about society, not that what you are seeing on screen is how things actually happened in the past, because that is pretty much impossible. Okay? Yeah. So yung mga truths na hina-highlight ng General Luna, one of them is regionalism, or like what I mentioned earlier about the nation being composed of regional tribes. Again, these are all based on the two books, yung kay Vivencio Jose at kay Nick Joaquin. In those books, you'll encounter the term Cavitismo, which is what we tried to show na kanya-kanyang ano tayo. Lalo na yung mga tiga Cavite back then, according to the books, na ayaw nilang sumunod sa mga ibang mga taga-ibang regions. And then also, it's how kinship trumps nationhood, how we are all satisfied with family bonds and other forms of extended kinship, but we cannot seem to take it to a higher level and consider the entire nation as extended kin or family. Now, there is some criticism that this kind of thinking extends a narrative that's disseminated by American scholars, but I think there's sufficient evidence today. If you look at the people who rule over us, which are mostly families in politics and in business. No? So, but this is not really a wild idea kasi our species didn't evolve with nationhood in mind. No? At most, we are comfortable with villages. And there's a research behind this. Na if you look up the idea of the Dunbar number, which is the maximum number of people a single person can make meaningful connections with, it's around 150, which is the size of a small village, basically. And another truth is maybe that the revolution was doomed to fail because the majority of people would rather live a comfortable life, which again is not a bad thing, while the educated class are primarily the ones who were loudest about reforms. No? Maybe the country wasn't really ready for it. And there are many other questions in the film, but we're not here to analyze the film itself. Basta that's how General Luna and Goyo functions. Merong tema, and then it uses historical facts to expound on this theme, and then hopefully nag-iiwan siya ng mga questions para dun sa audience. Okay? As for accuracy, I'll go through this quickly. Basta we tried our best with the resources that we had, with the time and money and the consultants that we have. Pero in terms of story, as I mentioned earlier, meron kami mga fictional elements para lang maging mas entertaining yung pelikula. Si Joven Hernando, yung character na sinusundan ng audience, Joven translated from Spanish is youth. So he sort of represents youth and the audience also. Si Isabel is a nod to the Isidra Cojuangco conspiracy theory. If you search online, merong ganyan. But she's also based on Nicolas Dairit, who was the Red Cross. He was part of the Red Cross, and siya yung nag-intervene between General Luna and General Mascardo nung nag-aaway sila. And speaking of that away, yung part dun sa kabaong, wala talaga yun. Nag-away talaga sila, pero yung kabayang, that was just me trying to be funny, and I think it worked naman in most cases. No? And of course, the Spoliarum shot, wala yun dun sa original script ni Ed Rocha and Henry Francia. I just thought it would be cool to appropriate Juan Luna's painting for what happened to his brother. Yun. As for Goyo, ito yung opening disclaimer. This film combines historical fact with fictional elements to serve a narrative theme. If I knew better back in General Luna days, mas ganito na lang sana yung isusulat ko, hindi yung kasing haba dun sa General Luna. As for the books, you can search online. Merong listahan ng books behind Goyo. Mahabang listahan siya, pero hindi din siya kompleto kung tutuusin. No? Nandun pa rin yung libro ni Nick Joaquin, but the main book is yung kay Chidoro Calao. And these are the other lists, the other books in the list. Okay? Pero hindi kompleto to. Hindi ko nadadaanan lahat. Mostly just to mention that yung kay Jose Alejandrino, The Price of Freedom, that's a really good book. Aguinaldo's Odyssey by Simeon Villa is actually the diary kung saan namin binase yung biyahe nila from yung nilakad nila mula Pangasinan hanggang Ilocos Sur. Yun, may diary entry si Simeon Villa describing the entire journey, which was pretty harrowing. A Spaniard in Aguinaldo's Army by Telesforo Carrasco. He is a Spanish soldier in Goyo's army. Yung accounts niya kung paano namatay si Goyo, dito namin binase, hindi dun sa traditional heroic account kung saan nakasakay sa kabayo si Goyo at lumalaban pa siya up until his last breath. Okay? Dito namin binase. So what questions does Goyo ask? It tries to raise questions about idolatry, the contrast between one's loyalty to a leader and loyalty to the idea of a nation, which we've already established is kind of flimsy back then. Okay? It's also about how a hero becomes a man. So nag-start yung pelikula na nandun na siya sa tuktok ng pedestal niya, tapos binababa natin siya ng binababa as the film progresses until he becomes humble because he realizes that he is about to die. Okay? But soon as he realizes that, it's actually too late. It's also the idea that your social status won't really matter in the face of death. That maybe in a time of war, where we are facing the threat of yet another conquest, integrity, honor, and commitment to the ideals of freedom matter more than loyalty to a leader, given the context of our society. Kasi nga, tulad dun sabi ni Lieutenant Garcia dun sa pelikula, pag nawala si Aguinaldo, may panibagong titindig, pero ang Pilipinas, hindi yan mapapalitan. All of these ideas are kind of based on the writings of Mabini. So structurally, basically, you have Goyo learning the lessons the hard way, while Mabini and Joven ruminate on what should have been. Okay? Dadaanan ko lang saglit. Marami ng videos online about yung accuracy aspect ng Goyo. You can see also the massive sets and the CG work that we had to complete, no? Pero in general, mas meticuloso yung proseso namin in terms of historical accuracy for Goyo. Ito lang yung dalawang photos na parang pinakamaganda example, which is on the upper left, yung painting ni Ramon Peralta ng Tirad Pass. Umakyat kami sa Tirad Pass before we shot the film. Dalawang beses namin inakyat yun. And nandun talaga yung ito yung makikita nyo talaga pagdating nyo dun sa Toktok. And then yung nasa baba nung painting is one of the trenches in Mount Balagbag kung saan namin shoot yung Battle of Tirad Pass. So yan. And then yung historical photo ni Goyo with his troops, we tried to recreate that. And you can see that below and also in the film. Some of examples of the fictional elements, si General Alejandrino and Mabini, wala kaming record, wala kaming na-research na nag-meet talaga sila at nag-usap. Pinagsama lang namin ni Rodi Vera, yung co-writer ko, para, I think kasi we thought it would be interesting to have these two discuss the war and the revolution and its failures. No? And then yung photographer, si Miguel Laureano, he's fictional, but he is based on Felix Laureano, who is the first Filipino photographer, as far as I know. Yung presence ni Lieutenant Garcia, who was in General Luna, wala siya sa Tirad Pass talaga, as far as we know. Pinasok lang namin siya kasi maganda yung ending nilang dalawa ni Goyo dun sa General Luna. Yun. And I think the biggest fictional element would be Goyo's PTSD. Kasi na-inspire to dun sa shooting dun sa river. I mean, yung lumangoy sila ni Goyo at nung kapatid niya at ni Vicente dun sa ilog nung gabi. Tapos may dumating na sundalo at binaril sila. Sabi ni Vicente dun sa accounts, yun lang daw yung time na nakita niya si Goyo na takot na takot. And I thought it was a good entry point for introducing the idea of death, of mortality. That death is coming for Goyo. And maybe he should start thinking about the things that matter in a time of war. Personally, the differences between General Luna and Goyo, aside from the obvious one na mas energetic si Luna, Goyo is actually more anthropological. In the sense na mas malaki yung canvas niya para pag-aralan yung Filipino society. Where so nasa gitna si Goyo, and then he's held together by Mabini, Aguinaldo, and Alejandrino, and also Joven. Where Luna is really just about Luna and the contrast of this uncompromising madman against Pinoy culture. Okay, so basically, General Luna is a tragicomedy about futility, while Goyo is a meditation on heroism and the idea of bayani. As for Quezon, kompleto na yung script, pero baka magbago pa siya. Hindi ko alam kung kailan siya mangyayari. We consulted around 50 books, not just on Quezon's life, but on Osmeña, Rojas, Manuel Rojas, and Leonard Wood. And ginawan ko ng timeline yung mga significant na events sa buhay ni Manuel Quezon, Aguinaldo, and Osmeña. Medyo ganyan yung itsura, medyo malabo, but it's pretty much yan. So timeline niya ng major events sa buhay nila. Hindi pa nga kompleto yan, pero yan, I'm just trying to show you the level of work that we try to achieve. Okay? Yan. So in conclusion, in relation to stories based on historical fact, do filmmakers have a responsibility to stick to the truth or yung historical fact? Of course, generally, yes, no? Maybe a few decades ago, the answer is a resounding yes. But I think the world of cinema has moved past that. I think the answer now is yes. But what matters is that we make observations about human behavior and make conclusions that are species-wide. That are hopefully not ideological. But if there is distortion involved, the storyteller has to be honest about the reasons and motivations behind it. And that only happens if you have self-awareness, kung self-aware ka. Kasi kung hindi, then it becomes a messy affair. And if you are dishonest, then it's purely manipulation and propaganda on the side of the storyteller. Okay? So to simplify, I think filmmakers will have a more honest conversation with the public if they aspire to tell the truth about human behavior and to attempt to show the mechanisms behind the decisions of our historical figures without being too moralistic and judgmental, I guess. But that brings up the question of, do filmmakers need to be moralistic? It's a complicated question. I mean, maybe. I mean, of course, yes, we need to be moral people. The thing is, facts, they have no moral elements on their own. But the act of telling stories will almost always carry with it the filmmaker's moral compass. Hindi mo na may iwasan yun pag gumagawa ka ng kwento. But one of the problems with being a bit moralistic, doon papasok yung biases. And doon papasok, hindi ganun kalayo yung ideology and propaganda once pumasok yung mga biases mo. But it is not a bad thing to be a moral person, of course. It would be idiotic of me to say that, no? But it can be a bad thing if we consider that a lot of atrocities throughout history have been committed by people who believed that they were doing a good thing. Okay? Mahaba na yung research about this. Basically, people who do evil things don't think they are evil. They think they're on the right side of history. So I'm not saying that we should not do good things, but only that we apply some healthy skepticism to the most noble intentions of people, including our own. which is yun din yung sabi sa Goyo na wag maging bulag na tagasunod. So I'm basically ambivalent about this issue, that precisely because of this push and pull between trying not to be moralistic in presenting human behavior, pero hindi mo may iwasan na ipakita yung moral compass mo when you make stories. Yeah, I hope I'm making sense. No? So from the side of the filmmaker, a historical film can be accurate, it can be revisionist, it can be propaganda, it can be whatever the filmmakers want. Wala na tayong magagawa doon kasi it is the price we pay in a free society. Films are art first and history second. They are more about the creator's viewpoint and partial truths about the subject. They do not always represent reality because they omit certain details and nuances about life. Kasi film is a medium of omission. Ina-arrange mo lahat sa harap ng camera. Hindi mo pinapakita yung crew sa likod ng camera. Yung pag itong photo na to, pag nakita niyo tinignan niyo yung bahay sa likod ni Aguinaldo and Alejandrino, hindi talaga bahay yan, facade lang siya. Sa likod niyan, scaffolding. So everything is pretty much made up, even the dialogue and the sequence of events. So, but having said that, films can influence our lives, definitely. It can influence our emotions. And for that, it deserves respect and requires some responsibility from the side of the creator. From the side of the audience, I guess the only thing we can do is to not take films so seriously when it comes to claims of portraying reality. Perhaps that is the key. Pero ang problema, to not take films seriously in our culture kung saan naka-embed yung showbiz sa buhay natin, I don't know if that's a really doable or attainable na proposition. But whatever, just be especially skeptical when a film claims that this is how it really happened, because usually it's not. Okay? Yan. So in the fight against historical revisionism, cinema, unfortunately, is not the first line of defense because its nature is all about making things up. It can be used for offense, but it's kind of futile to fight against it using the same medium. Kasi in a free society, when someone comes up with a historical film that claims it is the truth, the only thing that another filmmaker can do is to make a film that opposes it. Kaso, nagiging he said, she said scenario na siya. So from the audience's side, the only thing that they can do is weigh both works in the marketplace of ideas. So perhaps the first line of defense is in the marketplace of ideas by incentivizing historical knowledge. Sa eskwelahan ba nagsisimula to, sa education? I don't know kasi palagi nilang sinasabi na education is the key. I hope it is. I hope it still is kasi yun lang yung it's the only thing we have right now, I think. But cinema can help by popularizing positive attitudes about book reading, research, the scientific method, critical thinking, skepticism, and especially civics, which is yung duty ng isang mamamayang Pilipino. And maybe if that becomes popular, we can cultivate a more discerning audience. Okay. Books and historical records and historians are definitely way better sources of historical data than movies. But they are not immune to biases. But at the very least, yung standards for research and fact-finding are still in place sa mga libro. But they are also not immune to politics and ideology kasi academia is highly politicized in some areas. No? But at least there are still incentives for critical thinking and skepticism. Sa pelikula, sa mundo ng showbiz, ibang-iba yung mga incentives. Okay? So I think it's really trying to find a way through a concerted effort from many fields to promote a culture that defends itself against manipulation and lies. Or at least i-minimize yung impact ng lies by creating cultural safeguards, like checks and balances, norms and values that promote critical thinking. It may be, I don't know, it may be a pipe dream. It may not be attainable in our lifetimes. Tanggap ko na yan. But if there's one thing that I'm hopeful about, it is this thing na it is not impossible to achieve the highest aspirations of Philippine society, which is basically a true and working democracy. Ayan. Sana maabot natin yan. If not today, hopefully tomorrow. And that's basically it. Maraming salamat po sa pakikinig.
Napakinggan natin si Direk Gerald Tarog sa kanyang pagtalakay ng pagko-conceptualize hanggang sa pagbubuo at pag-produce ng General Luna at ng Goyo. Habang pinagapahinga si Direk, paalala sa ating mga audience na maaari kayo magbigay na inyong mga katanungan at mamaya kami naman magtatanong sa inyo sapagkat lalabas ang Kultura Serie Question of the Day kung saan dalawa sa ating audience ay pwedeng manalo ng 2 Sining Saya Workbook. Ang workbook na ito ay 24 pages para sa mga kabataan na pwede ninyong sagutan ang interactive activities sa loob. Interactive activities, yan, tama, no? Interactive activities sa loob para sa mga bata na nag-aaral ng kasaysayan at nasyonalismong Filipino. Naswak sa tinalakay natin ngayon, no? Kung paano nagtatagpo ang sining ng paggawa ng pelikula at ng kasaysayan. Napaka-refreshing ng talakay ni Direk sa atin ngayon sapagkat minumulat niya tayo sa katotohanan na hindi makakapture, no, Direk, ng pelikula ang 100% historical accuracy ng mga nababasa natin sa mga libro. Yon, muli, Direk, maraming salamat po at kung may pagkakataon, maaari na po ba tayong sumagot ng mga katanungan at pagpapalalim pa ng ating talakay?
Sige, game.
Salamat, Direk. Siguro simulan natin sa General Luna. Yung ilang mga tanong dito, sir, ay paano ninyo tinatanggap ang mga negatibo na kritisismo pagdating doon sa pelikula? Siyempre, ang pelikula ay panonood lalo sa mga elementary students. Tapos, meron ditong claim na hindi naman ito 100% historically accurate. Pero, hindi natin mapipigil yung mga bata kung paano nila ito tatanggapin, no? Paano ninyo sinasagot, sir, mga ganitong mga kritisismo?
Well, depende sa depende sa criticism kasi iba-iba naman yung responses ko depende dun sa tinatanong. No? Pero I mean, for example, ano ba yung historical accuracy or
Sir, kasi yung mga bata raw, kahit na sabihin natin na hindi ito accurate, pero nakikintal sa isipan ng mga kabataan, baka ganito talaga si Luna, ganyan, or kung ano.
Oh, well, yun basically yung sinasabi ko sa talk na parang wala akong magagawa sa kung paano nila tatanggapin yung pelikula. It's sort of a give and take. May responsibility din yung, lalo na kung pinapalabas sa mga bata, responsibility din ng parents or teachers para i-guide yung mga nanonood kung ano yung options mo kung paano i-interpret yung pelikula. Kasi malinaw naman yung disclaimer sa simula na historical fiction based on facts, di ba? So beyond that, hindi ko naman pwede i-control kung paano nila itatanggapin yung pelikula. So ayan, it's ika nga nila, the author is dead. So yung, kung ano sabihin ko kayo na bahala kung paano interpret.
Okay. Sige, salamat. Naalala ko po ang aking thesis advisor. Hindi siya niniwalang the author is dead. He's just roaming around.
Yes, hindi ako naniniwala din doon. Pero
speaking of critics, meron po tayong tanong dito. Should filmmakers like you, Direk, respond to readings of your films or the critics?
Nakakatulong siya. It informs to a certain extent, nakaka-inform siya ng kung paano ako gumawa ng future films. Definitely. Pero yan, depende yan sa resilience ng filmmaker. Kasi minsan pagbasa ka ng basa, makikripple ka na dun sa future films mo kasi ang daming criticisms about it. So may potential na maging ganun. Pero I guess if you are resilient enough, pwede mong gamitin yung criticism to learn how to make better movies in the future, or sa kabila nun, pwede ka rin matuto kung paano deadmahin lahat ng criticisms na yun. And try to do research on your own. Kasi medyo binabalanse ko yun na I try to learn kung medyo useful naman yung criticism, pero kung sa tingin ko nakaslant siya towards one certain ideology or something na may worldview, dinededma ko na. Kasi yung mga ganong criticisms, it says more about the critic than the actual film.
Yes.
Usually ganun.
Yeah. Salamat, Direk. Pahabol ko ito bago yung next question. Pagdating sa creative licenses, meron ba itong limitation?
To be honest, wala talaga. I mean, yung kay Tarantino, pinatay niya si Hitler sa kung ano nung pinagagawa niya. So, technically, wala. It's more yung level of respect ng isang kultura para dun sa isang historical figure. Sa Pilipinas, alam ko madaming mapipikon nung pinesent namin si Goyo in that way. So merong segment ng population na galit sa akin dahil binaba ko si Goyo. Ginawa ko
Mm.
siyang tao.
Mm.
So, but again, hindi naman yun idea na naisip ko lang. Sisihin nyo si Nick Joaquin, hindi ako. Kasalanan niya. So, ayun, kung hindi ko nabasa yung librong yun, hindi ko naman maiisip lahat yun. So, ayun. Pero it's not really creative license. It's more of me trying to be as loyal to the work of Nick Joaquin as possible. So ayun. Pero beyond that, it's really more considerations of kung paano nagiging entertaining yung pelikula. So pag kailangan ko pa siyang gawing entertaining, magdadagdag ako ng mga bagay para nasa upuan pa yung audience. Like yung kabaong, yung mga kung ano ba.
Salamat. Mula kay Nick Joaquin, A Question of Heroes. Tinuturo ko kasi yan, sir. Kasama yan sa readings ng mga estudyante. Pati ang culture as history. Kasi ang kasaysayan naman talaga, daluyong din ang pagbabago ng kultura. At based sa ating interpretation, kung paano natin take, kung ano man. Sagutin natin to, sir, kadugtong ng ating talakayan mula kay Celsius Washon. Great presentation, Direk. I have a question. If acceptance of lies becomes a culture, how will films be able to respond to such a moral decay?
Films have been, right from the start, they've always been lies. Ang cinema. Nakalimutan ko yung exact na quote from, I think si Godard yung nagsabi yan. Basta basically yun ang point na films are basically lies. Although they are trying to represent truths in society. So, which is why I kept on saying kanina na maybe you shouldn't, films definitely deserve respect kasi naapektuhan nila yung buhay natin. Pag apektado tayo sa isang pelikula, pwede tayong humagulgul buong araw tungkol dun eh. And, ayun. Pero, we shouldn't take them seriously kasi kwento lang siya eh. Pelikula lang siya, kung tutuusin. So, kailangan mo mahanap yung balanse na magpapa-apekto ka dun sa pelikula but at the same time, tatanggapin mo na hindi naman siya yung pinaka-totoo talaga. Okay? It's just a story. And stories are things that we tell ourselves to learn from each other. Pero ang totoong teacher is real life, not stories.
Salamat, Direk. Siya maganda po, no? Simula pa lang ng talakay natin na hindi primary source ang pelikula. Yun ang malinaw, no?
Hindi talaga.
Kasi baka may mga nanonood sa ating mga students, no? Although na may mga historical films na pinapanood at part ng curriculum, hindi ito primary source.
Kasi na-encounter ko rin minsan sa mga comments na parang ay ganun pala dati pag nakita nila yun. Parang gusto kong sumingit palagi sa comments na hindi ganyan dati. It's just how we interpret the historical data, yung mga books na nabasa namin.
Tsaka yung biases kasi sa lahat naman ng ginagawa natin, lulutang at lulutang yung bias ng artista kung sino ang nag-produce at bumuo ng pelikula. Yun ang mahalaga. Salamat. Sir, next question from Sir Ferdy Aparticio. Tumutunghay mula sa sangay ng mga paaralan ng lungsod ng Taguig at bayan ng Pateros. What is the future of making historical films for commercial market?
Depende kasi ang kailangan natin is yung mga matatapang pa na producers. We can madami tayong mga direktor na madaming magagandang ideas na historical. Pero pag wala kang producer na matapang na maglalabas ng pera para i-fund yun, wala din. Hindi mo rin magagawa yan. Kaya nga, feeling ko we were just at the right place at the right time nung lumabas si Fernando Ortigas para i-fund yung General Luna. Kasi basically, sabi niya, trip lang talaga niya na gumawa ng pelikula. And sabi niya kung natanggap daw niya yung General Luna script a week before, baka tinapon lang daw yun sa basurahan. So, we need more of those people na willing to risk and to invest in historical films. Lalo na pag sana aware sila kung gaano kalaking bagay yung historical knowledge. Kasi medyo unique yung bansa natin na malaki yung amnesia natin about history. Sobrang, that's the main thing. So if there's one thing that films can do even though they are not the primary source of historical data,
Mm.
I think we should still have more historical films out there. So
Yeah.
sana may mga producers pa.
Pangiliti ano, pangiliti sa
Mm.
isip lalo na ng mga
Yeah.
bata.
Parang ano siya, parang pwede mo siyang i-consider na gateway into reading historical books sa mga
Mm.
pelikula.
Interest kasi 'no, lalo ng mga kabataan. Hindi na talaga yun ang katotohanan, hindi ito ang interest ng karamihan. Lalo na't ang
Mm.
Philippine history tinuturo grade 6 lang, pagdating ng high school ay world history na. Tas
Yeah, exactly.
contemporary issues, 'di ba?
Oo.
Kaya maganda rin na meron tayong lunsaran ng mga ganitong kaisipan, pangiliti sa mga kabataan tulad ng mga pelikula ninyo, Direk.
Mhm.
Mula po kay Sarmiento o Cicero, do you have your own limitation sacrificing accuracy for the sake of artistic expression? Karugtong ito nung kanina. At what point does it becomes too much?
Okay. It's a good question pero ang hirap sagutin kasi depende yan sa eksena.
Mm.
Parang, halimbawa yung away ni General Mascardo at ni General Luna, nakulangan pa ako kasi parang nagbabatuhan lang sila ng telegrama. Sa pagkakaalala ko, parang gano'n. Tapos nag-aasaran lang sila through telegrams and then I thought, hindi, kailangan ko pa ng mas nakakatawa, So pumasok dun yung kabaong na part. Pero I think if I went even beyond that, baka nawala na yung tono yung balanse ng pelikula. So hindi lang yung accuracy yung at saka yung creative license yung kailangan kong bantayan, kundi yung kabuuan ng pelikula, yung tono niya. So usually ang nagse-set ng limitations ay yung tono ng pelikula. Yung Goyo, for example, I could insert as much comedic scenes as I wanted pero pwede siyang lumayo dun sa tono ng pelikula na mas melancholy na pelikula ang Goyo. So hindi ko siya pwedeng layuan, dagdagan masyado ng mga fictional stuff or mga bagay na lumalayo dun sa mood ng pelikula basically.
Yeah, maraming salamat, Direk. Balik ako ng konti tungkol doon sa producers bago natin sagutin yung tanong ni Sir Joe na naisip ko lang ito bigla. Would you say na sa pagpo-produce ng pelikula, ang number one palagi ay kung marketable ito than the content of the movie?
Magkasama yun na yung content kailangan nila i-consider kung marketable ba yung content basically. Kasi I cannot imagine a producer who's willing to shell out 100 to 200 million pesos and then not expect it to come back to him. Yun. Unless na talagang gusto lang niya magtapon ng pera, yun.
Philanthropy.
Oo. Yeah. So merong point depende sa yaman ng producer. Pero generally, pag naglabas ng pera ang producers, definitely gusto nilang makuha ulit yung pera. Kasi investment yun. Hindi mo na maaalis yun sa kalakalan ng pelikula. Yun talaga yung DNA niya. Unless na nandun ka sa side ng art films. Ang art films kasi, pwede kang gumawa ng kahit ano, pwedeng mag-express yung director ng kahit ano. Pero makikita mo na limitado lang palagi yung budget nila. Kasi nga, at least in that case, hindi concerned yung producer sa return of investment. Yun. So, pag mas malaki yung project, mas kailangan talagang i-consider yung content at kung marketable ba siya, definitely.
Yeah. So, Direk, sa Cinemalaya ba, content talaga ang una? Kasi mababa lang ang budget dito, no?
Hindi, mas malawak ang creative expression pag independent filmmaking. Halimbawa sa Cinemalaya, yung mga ganong festivals. No? So, I did 2 feature films, Mga Tiyanan tsaka Sana dati. And then I wrote Marikina, which is also Cinemalaya. Tapos yung faculty nasama doon. So in those cases, halos walang budget, pero walang limitations sa kung ano yung gusto mong ikwento, basically.
Okay.
So doon mo makikita yung difference na walang budget, pero bahala ka magkwento na kung anong gusto mo. Pero medyo fluke din yung Goyo kasi Goyo was probably the most expensive film so far in the Philippines. Nasa 240 million pesos yung ginastos nun. But I was also given all the freedom to write whatever story I wanted about Goyo. So nakachamba ako doon, admittedly. Pinakita ko naman yung kwento, pinakita ko kung gaano kalaki yung yung story at kung gaano siya kaiba from General Luna. And they agreed to do it. So I'm for eternally grateful to my producers for allowing me that.
Thank you, Direk. Question from Sir Jonah Valenzuela. How about Filipinas? Do filmmakers also be interested retelling the story of Filipino heroines? What do you think is the most interesting Filipino heroine?
Syempre naman, again, it's more a matter of resources. If there are more producers who are willing to make films, historical films, at some point dadami yung stories about Filipinas na who contributed to our historical narrative. Dati sinasagot ko si wait, I do not want to misremember the name, pero I think it was Teresa Magbanwa. Yeah, Teresa
Yes.
Magbanwa. Oo. So yun palagi yung sinasagot ko dati na kung may opportunity ako gumawa ng historical film na babae yung bida, malamang si Teresa Magbanwa yung gagawin ko.
Thank you, Direk. Tsaka may mga attempts na pagbabae ang bida. Marikina. Diba? Although hindi ito bayan at hindi ito historical, pero very culture of Marikina, shoemaking,
Yeah.
with Mylene Dizon. Kung di pa napapanood ay sa torrent available. Hindi na siya showing, syempre.
Alam ko merong hindi, unfortunately hindi ko alam kung anong streaming platform ang nagsistream ng Marikina, pero alam ko meron pang isa. Hindi ko lang maalala kung ano. Pero yeah, it's a story about the working class of Marikina nung panahon ng EDSA revolution. So medyo may politics behind it, pero at least it's really more about the working class. Yeah.
At babae ang bida, no? Kaya ako nabanggit kasi Filipina ang hinahanap kanina. Sir, nasagot natin to kanina, no? Indirect. Pero siguro pwede natin balikan. Do you also consult with historians regarding the historical facts aside from your own research and readings? Or pwede nyo bang isplook kung sino ang inyong mga nakatrabahong historian sa ibang movies?
Mahaba yung credits ng Goyo at saka General Luna. Pero nandun lahat yung mga pangalan nila ng mga historians namin. So we had consultants for costumes, we had consultants for Gregorio del Pilar's life, pati yung relative ni, I think, apo ni Vicente Enriquez, which is yung best friend ni Goyo. We also consulted him. Ayun, and then from the American side, lalo na for Goyo kasi malaking party yung American soldiers dun. So we had a consultant for that also. His name was Matthew Westfall kasi may libro kasi akong binasa niya. So ayun, so nag-provide siya ng maraming details about the American soldiers back then. Ayun. Pero yung mga exact names sa credits nyo na lang hanapin. Nasa Netflix naman yung dalawang pelikula. So
yes, available. Yeah. So, Direk, kapag yung mga historians, nangingialam din yung historians doon sa creativity na ini-input mo?
I don't think may iwasan nilang mangialam kasi ano nila yun field nila yun So parang they will see something to nitpick about definitely. And that's part of the process. Kasama talaga yun. So again, tinatanggap ko lahat ng input. And then, kailangan ko lang mag-decide kung ano doon yung gagamitin ko for the sake of the story. Para maging entertaining siya. Kasi minsan pag masyado ka ng detalyado, it's just going to be details and more details and more details. Na wala na sacrifice mo na yung entertainment value ng pelikula. So, medyo mahirap siyang balancing act.
Thank you, Direk. Ito ay yung next question. Ang daming tanong, ang daming nanonood, daming interesado. Kaya pa naman natin, no, Direk?
Game. Go lang.
From Bernard, very future-looking. Can you give us a glimpse on how you plan to attack Quezon at the third film of the trilogy?
Okay. Well, sabi ko nga, tapos na yung script, pero posibleng magbago pa siya. No? So, yung existing script right now, na sinulat namin ni Rodi Vera, basically, siya, 4 parts siya, 4 segments in Manuel Quezon's life. And the whole idea behind it is how he uses power, how he uses certain issues in Philippine society to stay in power. It's a comedy, actually. It's way different from Goyo. Slightly parang General Luna dun sa mga comedic parts. So, ganun siya. Basically, the first part is nung lawyer pa siya, kung paano siya nanalo against the Americans. And then, kung paano, nung senator siya, kung paano niya minanipulate para makuha yung tidings McDuffie Act. versus dun sa,
Mm.
basta yun, yung mga ganun detalye.
Mm.
Up until dun sa last part ng buhay niya, kung paano niya na-manipulate na ma-extend yung term niya for his presidency. Pero hindi siya parang hindi siya condemnation ni Manuel Quezon. It's more of, eto siya, he knows how to play the game, and it's a game that was started by the Americans, and he learned how to play that game in order to do what he wanted and to serve the country, parang ganun. So medyo merong, same as General Luna and Goyo, medyo siya, gray area, na
Mm.
hindi ka sure kung bida ba siya or what, pero nandun siya. But more interestingly, I think, it's also a story of Aguinaldo. Kasi dun sa first two films, siya unti-unting nababawasan yung pagiging kontrabida niya. I mean, sa General Luna, kontrabida talaga siya. Pero pagdating sa Manuel Quezon, dun lalabas kung paano sinira ni Manuel Quezon yung image ni Aguinaldo, basically, during the presidential elections nung magkalaban sila.
Mm.
Kasi magaling sa PR si Manuel Quezon and basically, ginawa niya lahat para bumaba yung reputation ni Aguinaldo.
And
Ayun,
speaking
that's our
of Quezon, direct, no, meron akong ka-faculty sa LB, kasama natin tuturo ng kasaysayan, na laging pinagkukumpara si Quezon at si Marcos. No, may ganon,
okay.
pagdating sa pagkikwento ng kasaysayan at kanilang mga talambuhay. Kasi nabanggit
yeah.
yung pagiging American boy, yung pag-extend sa pwesto at marami pang iba. Sir, kaya pa ba? Kaya pa natin. Ang daming tanong at napaka-interesting.
Sige lang, go lang.
Papato ko lang sa inyo, direct. Mula ulit kay Celsius, in a land where Marites is a strong character, certain films find it juicy to exploit lack of critical thinking for profit's sake. Magandang tanong to. What do you think will be the future roles of films as part of culture?
It's going to be the same thing as it's always been. Some filmmakers will find ways to exploit the audience, and some filmmakers will try to find films that will criticize those kinds of exploitation. So palagi magkakaroon ng push and pull between filmmakers na merong iba-ibang intentions. I don't think magbabago siya as long as films remain relevant in pop culture. So ganun at ganun lang siya. Depende lang sa kung sino yung ruling class, kumbaga. So maybe in the future, if things maybe change, we'll have different filmmakers with different intentions na hindi to deceive the public, kundi to raise awareness or consciousness or whatever. So ayun, depende talaga sa panahon Pero basically ganoon naman siya mula dati pa. Even as early as the 1920s, may mga kanya-kanyang intentions na or incentives na yung mga filmmakers to create propaganda or to be realistic. Ayun.
Sige, salamat po, Direk. Siguro tayo pahabol na para sa ating wrap-up. Naalala mo ba, sir? Hindi ko kasi maalala, Direk. Ano bang rating ng General Luna Goyo for MTRCB? R13 ba to? Or GP, PG?
Definitely hindi GP. Kung hindi ko maalala kung nag-R siya. Pero possibly nasa PG siya. Lalo na yung General Luna.
Tapos ang category nito, sir, historical fiction. Ganun ba?
Yeah. I would call it historical fiction.
Kasi may mga pelikula na based on history, pero ang category ay drama. So, parang malinaw, no? Lumiligtas sila doon sa kritisismo. Would you consider this technique na kahit based on history, halimbawa, lagay natin comedy, kahit na ang content nito ay history, maganda kaya ang taktika yon pagdating sa public?
Again, it's more of kasi labels lang naman siya Again, ang I think ang mas nagma-matter is kung maniniwala ba yung audience dun sa pinapanood nila. Kung aware ba sila na historical fact ba siya, nagpapanggap na historical fact, or aware ba yung mga filmmakers mismo na hindi naman talaga ito yung nangyari, pero we are trying to entertain you and to maybe represent some slice of reality back then and now. So I think yung awareness na nagmamatter, the labels not as much. I could label General Luna as comedy also if I wanted to, a war movie and a comedy, pero that doesn't really do anything for me. Mas importante sa akin yung kung paano i-interpret ng tao. I want to hear how they interpret it. Yeah.
Maraming salamat po, Direk. And before we end, baka po meron kayong message sa mga students natin ng film na gusto mag-produce ng pareho ninyong linya?
Well, good luck kung makahanap kayo. I really hope makahanap kayo ng producers na kayang maglabas ng pera for. Kasi to be honest, historical films are the most expensive ones to do, lalo na sa Pilipinas. No? So sana meron kayo mga mahanap na ganun. But if not, I hope merong paraan para mapopularize pa yung raised standards of historical knowledge. Hindi yung chismis, etc. Hindi yung mga ganong discourse. It's more of sana magkaroon pa tayo ng mas malalim na interest sa history kasi kulang na kulang tayo doon. Okay? And if there are other ways, not just through films, maybe through books, through graphic novels, through, I don't know, TikTok, hindi ko alam kung anong pwede nilang gawin para lang mas kumalat pa yung idea na importante yung history natin. At sobrang malaking gap yon sa ating consciousness as a Filipino nation. Sana matakpan yung gap na yun in a very robust manner.
Yes. Maraming salamat, Direk. At bago po namin kayo pakawalan, baka meron kayong mga gustong i-promote or ongoing projects?
Sa ngayon wala. Just wait for announcements. Kung may mangyari man sa Quezon, we'll definitely let everyone know. It's in talks right now between other producers. So I'm hoping in the next few months may news. Pero kung wala, I will try to come up with other stuff for people to watch. Hopefully.
Maraming salamat po, Direk Gerald Tarog. At napakinggan natin ang ating talakayan tungkol sa paglikha ng mga historical films at kung paano ito ang haba, basically ang haba ng pinagdadaanan ng pelikula bago maging pelikula. Kaya napakahalaga rin na pinapanood ito, ina-appreciate at kinikritik, Direk, napakahalaga ng kritisismo, lalo na sa ganitong mga uri ng produksyon. Direk, wag muna kayong aalis, mamaya meron tayong photo op. Meron lang tayong content announcement. Maraming salamat muli. Napakinggan natin si Direk Gerald Tarog ng General Luna at ng Goyo. Alam ko yung mga audience natin sa Zoom, sa pagtingin ko, tayo ay nasa 35,485,000.68 and a half. Kaya patuloy tayo mag-like and share ng ating live ngayon. Maraming salamat sa Gateway Gallery, J. Amado Arneta Foundation at ng The Philippine Online Student Tambayan. At para sa mga masugid nating taga-subaybay, naririto na ang inyong inaabangan na hashtag Kultura Serie Question of the Day. Kung nakinig kayo sa talakayan natin kasama si Direk Gerald, malamang masagot ninyo ang tanong na magka-flash sa inyong screen at pwede kayo manalo ng 2 Sining Saya workbook. Ready na ba kayo? Feeling ko ready na. Ayan na. Nakikita ko na ang ating mga kasama. Ang unang 2 makapagbibigay ng tamang sagot ang mananalo ng 2 Sining Saya workbook. At ito na ang question of the day. The film General Luna was inspired by which Nick Joaquin book or novel? Saan daw inspired na akda ni Nick Joaquin ang pelikulang General Luna? Siyempre yung una, mula kay Vivencio Jose, yung buhay mismo ni Antonio Luna, The Rise and Fall of Antonio Luna. Pero nabanggit sa atin ni Direk na mayroon pa siyang unang binasa. Ang totoo, ang pasimuno ng mga pagluluwal, ng mga pagbasa sa mga bayaning Filipino. Kaya isa ito sa mga naging inspiration at basihan ng General Luna. Anong akda ni Nick Joaquin? Inspired ang General Luna ni Direk. Yan na. Sige, tuloy-tuloy tayo sa pagbibigay ng mga kasagutan at nababasa namin ng inyong mga tugon. Habang namimili ang ating Facebook moderator ng 2 una nakapagbigay ng tamang sagot, maraming salamat muli sa ating mga katuwang na organisasyon ng Gateway Gallery. Maraming salamat, Sir Gary, Miss Helen, Miss Dayan, Miss Glenda, Miss May, nabanggit ko na ba lahat? At lahat na bumubuo ng Gateway Gallery, ng J. Amado Arneta Foundation, maraming salamat po sa inyo. At syempre, tayo ay live na napapanood sa The Philippine Online Student Tambayan, ang nag-iisa at ang tambayan ng mga mag-aaral at gurong Filipino sa loob at labas ng Pilipinas. Nakasama ulit natin kanina si Direk Gerald Tarog, ang direktor ng General Luna at ng Goyo. Mula kay Cas Emeraude. Thank you very much, Direk, for the interesting discussion and for enlightening us with facts regarding historical films. Makakasama ulit natin si Direk, invite ulit natin sa susunod na iba namang discussion. At kung meron kayong mga tanong, o di kaya mga paksa na gustong talakayin, pwede nyo rin niyang i-comment sa Facebook comment section at sisikapin natin i-produce ito sa susunod na episode ng Kultura Serye. Handog sa inyo ng Gateway Gallery. Ilang mga paalala sa lahat, ang Gateway Gallery ay matatagpuan sa 5th floor ng Gateway Mall. Magbubukas na yung Gateway Mall number 2. Di ba? Tama ba? Alam niyo ba na magbubukas na ang Gateway Mall number 2? Kaya wag na wag din yung kalimutan. Bisitahin ng Gateway Gallery, 5th floor ng Gateway Mall. Bukas araw-araw, 10 a.m. hanggang 6 p.m. At sa October 7 to 9, gaganapin sa Gateway Activity Center ang Gateway Art Fair. Ang extinction exhibit ay nasa small hall. Ito ay produced ni Jasprit Kaur at yung art fair ng Gateway sa October 7 to 9, magpapakita ito ng installations ng 11 art groups with more than 200 artworks na ready for sale. At alam niyo ba, magkakaroon ng creative demonstrations dito kung paano pinoproduce ang mga likhang sining mula sa iba't ibang artista ng bayan. Wag na wag din natin kalimutang i-download ang Gateway Gallery Pocket Museum, where history comes alive through augmented reality. Muli, ang Kultura Serye question of the day. The film General Luna was inspired by which Nick Joaquin novel? Meron na tayong winners. Meron na ba? Yan, hintayin po natin. Ang unang dalawang makapagbibigay ng tamang sagot ay mananalo ng 2 sining sayaw workbook. At ito na, lumabas na. Maraming salamat kay Christian Ronel Austria at John Paul Abeleria. Congratulations at maraming salamat sa inyong pagtutok. Kayo ang nagwagi ng 2 sining sayaw workbook. I-message nyo lamang ang Gateway Gallery Facebook with this screenshot. Screenshot nyo po ito. Balik po natin, Sir Gary, sa pangalan ng ating mga winners. Ibigay ninyo ang inyong pangalan. Ayan na. Ang contact number at ang address. Exclusive po ito ay padadala sa inyo at gagamitin lamang inyong impormasyon sa pagdala ng inyong mga premyo. Screenshot nyo na po. Ang tamang sagot po ay A Question of Heroes ni Nick Joaquin at yung isa po ay mula kay Vivian Jose, The Rise and Fall of Antonio Luna. Muli, maraming salamat sa inyong pagtutok sa araw na ito kasama si Direk Gerald. Alam ko excited kayo sa Quezon. Alam ko rin na excited kayo sa iba pang ipoproduce ng ating pinakamamahal na direktor. Kaya, mag-comment lang kayo dyan, no? Kung meron tayong mga mensahe, tiyak ko mababasa ni Direk. At abangan natin ang susunod na installment ng Kultura Serye. Sinong gusto ninyong imitahan? Anong paksa ang inyong gustong talakayin? Handa ang Gateway Gallery na sagutin ang inyong mga hiling at paalala sa mga tao o mga kasama natin na gustong magkaroon ng e-certificate. In just a moment, ipopost natin ang link ng e-certificate ng evaluation form rather. At lahat ng sumagot na evaluation form ay makakatanggap ng libreng e-certificate mula sa Gateway Gallery. Okay? Muli, maraming salamat sa inyong pagtutok, pakikilahok sa ating huntahan. I hope lahat tayo ay nag-enjoy at natuto, most especially, sa ating Kultura Serye episode ngayong araw na pinamagatang Thoughts on Making Historical Films. Muli, ako po si JC Santos, ang inyong pambansang moderator, instructor ng kasaysayan mula sa UPLB at kita-kits sa susunod na episode ng Kultura Serye. Magandang hapon po sa ating lahat at ingat!